on hold. So if you try to call in and you don't hear anything, but your call says you're still on, you're still on. Don't hang up on me. If you do, I got no sympathy for you if you hang up. 216-539-7535. Or you can hit us up on social media, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the SportsFix CLE. You can email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. Again, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the SportsFix CLE, all one word. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. Before we go into phone calls, before I get into any more about the Tribe, we're even going to touch on the Browns or anything, I always like to throw back to the way we ended the previous show. Sometimes things hang over and carry over. We ended Friday's show with it was pending right before we went off the air, the Roger Goodell press conference. And, I feel like opening up with a lighthearted moment here because that's what that was. I don't know where the comedy began, whether it was with the fact that the 3 o'clock came and they weren't ready for the press conference and people were just waiting and it was funny. People were throwing out jokes about throwing out the Tom Coughlin rule. If you're late for these things, you get fined. And eventually he rolled out there. And let me just tell you, for those of you that may have not seen it yourself and only heard about it or read the newspaper article or something the next day, that may have been the worst damage control type of press conference I've ever seen. The whole purpose of that thing. And here's the thing. Nobody asked for it. I mean, well, obviously, people were demanding and asking, hey, we want to hear from Roger Goodell. But the NFL scheduled that thing. They picked it. They picked the day and the time and the opportunity. So they set that up themselves. Okay, you're thinking this is going to be a complete public relations deal, right? There's going to be a prepared statement. They're going to have all their bases covered. They may have an expert here that'll jump in and make a few statements. You're thinking, okay, this is going to be a total glom job here. They're going to wash everything over. And then I watched the most ill-prepared, look, I know a lot of people respect Roger Goodell, but he looked like a doofus fumbling around, just fumbling around. He didn't know the answers to any of the questions. And I don't know if he thought that maybe, because he did start with a couple of media partners of the NFL. I said, we're going to take softball questions here. But you know what? I jokingly sent a tweet to the Triv Show, Mike Trivisano here. He used to have a billboard around Cleveland that said, "I've got all the balls," and it was a picture of his very large frame, nude and covered in all the wrong places with various footballs and basketballs and things like that. I said, no, Triv. You know who's got all the balls at this press conference? Rachel Nichols. She stood right up and started throwing trump cards down. And next thing you know, I give it to Rachel Nichols. She owned that press conference, man. She was throwing hand grenades left and right at Roger Goodell. They didn't have answers for anything. I mean, I think my favorite exchange in the whole press conference may have been where they asked him why he thought he should keep his job. They go, well, you've acknowledged that you've made some mistakes, blah, 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 and then why should you keep your job? And he goes, well, because I acknowledged my mistakes and said that we're gonna do better next time, and so because of that, I don't feel I should lose my job. Well, I'll be damned. That's a good way to justify keeping your $44 million job, $1 million a year job. I wouldn't be thinking that I need to give up my job either, man. I said, man, that's a hell of a justification. Why should you? I mean, he had it figured out. He looked at it. He could have passed a polygraph because he believed it. He goes, well, I admitted what I did wrong, and we're not going to make that mistake again, so I don't think I should lose my job. I'm like, man, there's a lot of people that have lost their jobs. And you know what? I've talked to some friends, colleagues, people that I've known, ex-players, and boy, that was one of the things they're on the most. And they threw this at Roger Goodell. He didn't have an answer for this one either at the press conference, is you stood in front of the world when you did the Bounty Gate scandal, and when you've done these different things, and you stood in front of the world and you said, hey, Sean Payton may be a good man with good character, but ignorance is no excuse for breaking the rules, and we've got to put the hammer down. But ignorance is the only excuse that the NFL's got for all of this mess that's gone on. And I'm telling you, and I'm not the only one. Hundreds and hundreds of former players over the weekend have all made this same comment. How in the world does that same judgment not apply to the guy that's in charge of this whole thing, man? And I'll tell you, my gut still says when this thing went down, I said he's not going to survive this. And a lot of people that I respect their opinions because they know what they're talking about. A lot of national journalists that I talk to say, J-Rock, you're crazy. They're not. This guy's not going to lose his job. He may have some bumps in the road, but the owners love him. He makes them money. Here's what I say. I mean, I'm not saying that you don't have to be a good legal person, and you do. The average person cannot be the commissioner of the NFL. Even if you like football, even if I like football, there are a lot of things about it legal, like top level lawyer stuff. There's reasons, but that being said, you don't have to be a rocket scientist either. And what I mean is, if you are relatively qualified for the job, the NFL, I'm not going to say that it runs itself, but it practically runs itself at this point. It prints money hand over fist. I mean, I'm just saying any competent CEO who understands what makes the league tick behind the scenes can be the commissioner of the National Football League. So I'm not saying it's a job that anybody can do, but it's definitely not a job that only Roger Goodell can do and do well. I do believe that there's a lot of other people that can do it. And I think that, number one, the media smells blood in the water, as they should, by the way. I mean, I'm telling you, I watched that press conference, and at no point did anybody from the NFL, Roger Goodell was the spokesman, but nobody answered a single friggin' question about anything. I mean, the guy from TMZ was one of my favorites, man. He threw the hand up and said, Mr. Commissioner, just want to ask you, I'm from TMZ. We got the tape pretty easily. Why couldn't you get it? And he goes, well, I don't know how TMZ got the tape. He goes, oh, well, I could tell you. I made one phone call and I got the tape. And I can't comment on how anybody else acquired their evidence. I can only speak for myself. And I'm like, the dude, first off, you're getting shined on by a guy from TMZ. Let's just be real here. You're getting made to look a fool of by a guy who hides in the dumpster and takes pictures of Dwayne Johnson as he walks out of, Chan's Chinese restaurant at 3 a.m., so that you can put some headline up at 3:30 that says, The Rock eats oysters, evidence at 11. So we're talking about TMZ here, making you look bad. And again, signs of the apocalypse, that the biggest news breaks from TMZ in 2014. There's the biggest sign of the apocalypse that you need out of all of this, is that TMZ ends up breaking the stories here. Yeah, no credentials. I agree, Vashon. That's what the NFL's press conference really was for the other day. It wasn't to answer questions. It was they're putting the no soup for you list. They had a list out, and they said, you just write them down. Rachel Nichols, check her off the list. These people aren't playing anymore. We're going to take credentials from everybody. It was so mismanaged. And my gut still says that it's going to cost him his job. Because I believe there's more. I believe that the people that have got it set now, and you guys know how this works. When they smell chum in the water, they go after it. And there's enough weakness around Roger Goodell that if one or two more cannons are fired that have legitimate gunpowder in them, his ship will sink. I truly believe he's at the point where if nothing else happened, maybe he could right the ship and survive. But this ship's not taking any more shots. And I think that there's people that want him out that are actively digging. I mean, obviously, it didn't take guys very long to find any of this other stuff. And that boat can't take any more shots. But I had to, before we even go on with the show, I had to go back to that because it was right as we went off the air. We went off at like 2:45, and at 3, well, it was supposed to be 3, ended up being 3:15. That thing started, and when it got done, I just said, man, I don't need $44 million to screw up that bad. You give me 4.4 and save the rest, and I could have screwed up as bad as he just did there, man. That was terrible. And here's the best part, is that press conference that he gave would have been totally okay if it was given by a person you never heard of announcing the resignation of Roger Goodell and the forming of a new commissioner, and here's all the changes that we're going to make. Then all those answers you gave sound great because there's an actual change, and at least you could go, well, we acknowledged, and hey, man, that guy lost his job, and we're going to do better. But you got the same guy who screwed it all up on purpose because he wanted to stick his head in the sand saying, well, we don't know how it got messed up. Well, of course you don't, because it got messed up at you, directly at you. Like, nobody passed go, nobody collected $200. You're the one that screwed this thing up left and right. So of course you don't have any answers, because the only answers you could give would come back to you and make you sound like a moron. I mean, then again, you did a pretty good job of that yourself, Roger. So, but for $44 million, I would sound like a moron too, man. I mean, I feel like that should be his pat answer to that question. Are you going to resign? I make $44 million. Next question. Because come on, man, is he going to step down? I'm going to step back for just a second. I promise. I got calls on hold. I'm going to the phones. I got a funny feeling we're going to, you know what? Let's get the break. Let's go to the phones. Let's talk a little Tribe when we come back. We're talking Browns. We got a whole lot more still to come as the Indians are coming home, baby. Home, sweet home, with their destiny in their hands, with an opportunity to make it happen. You just have to win them one at a time at home. I don't know how many people are going to be there, 15,000, 20. Maybe after they win a couple, I think it's realistic that they could probably finish out the set this weekend with some pretty packed houses. I can tell you this. I don't care about the bandwagon, not bandwagon, all of that. If they sweep the Royals, that place will be sold out for the final 3 games of the season. I do believe that. I don't know. Tell me what you think. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. When we come back, we'll take some calls. We'll talk a little Tribe. We're picking up on the Browns and the Ravens, talking about that. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan going to be with us. NFL action, a lot of good games this week and more. Don't go anywhere. We start off with your phone calls, talking some Tribe and some Browns and Ravens. Oh my! Coming up next here on the Sports Fix.
This is the Sports Fix.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
They call me Mr. Pig!
We'll call you whatever you like, as long as we can call you a fan.
Guys, want to take just a second as we head into this break and remind you about the official business printing source of the Sports Fix, our friends at Signs and Ship. Signs and Ship, I'm telling you, Chris and Pam, they've taken care of me since day one, and they can do the same for you. Whether you're a small business that's already been established and you're looking to grow to that next level and expand your business, or perhaps you've got an idea that you just know is going to be a great business and you need to figure out how to brand it and how to promote it and put it out there, Signs and Ship is the place for you. If you need a logo, they can create one for you. They have a fantastic graphic designer. Business cards, signs, banners, yard signs, mobile advertising, anything you can think of that you need to promote your business, they've got it at Signs and Ship. The best thing about them, too, is each of their locations, whether it's the home base here in Elyria, Ohio that I work with, or their spots in Virginia, Florida, and Pennsylvania, it's all local sourced. Very important to me because we all understand that small business is the lifeblood of the community. So check them out, signsandship.com, or call Chris and Pam today, 440-323-6060, the home office in Elyria, Ohio. Signs and Ship, quality printing at affordable prices.
Hey everybody, this is Jerry the King Lawler from WWE, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
There's heritage, and then there's birthright, the passing down of important things. We're talking about something deeper than nostalgia. We are proud. The C is for Cleveland and courage and comeback. No matter who we are before, when we put it on, we stand on common ground. This season, it's about unfinished business. Get ready. Here comes the Tribe.
Sports Fix listeners, like us.